Hello, my name's Jim Evans. I'm the executive director of Havenwood. And Havenwood is a unique place in Northwest Arkansas located on 808 North Main Street in Bentonville. We're just 8 blocks north of downtown Bentonville. We've been there for over 30 years. And Havenwood's mission is to empower single mothers and their children to move from a season of crisis to self-sufficiency. And I have 2 very special guests with me today. I have 2 alumni from Havenwood, Chelsea Bridges and Lisa, and forgive me, it's Lisa Foley, correct?
Yes.
All right, I wanted to be sure I had that right. And Lisa and Chelsea both have shared their story with me, and I wanted to bring them in so you could hear it. And this is typical of what we might find of somebody coming into Havenwood. What's not typical is the success that you 2 have had and what you have done since your time at Havenwood. So I wanted the folks to hear that. You've been an inspiration to me, and what some folks may not be aware of, Chelsea is on our board of directors at Havenwood and has served not only Havenwood but the surrounding community, and is starting to give back to those that find themselves in that season of crisis. And so I'm very excited to have you both with me today. Thank you for taking the time. So
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good.
Yes.
I want to, if you don't mind, just feel free at your discretion, share a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you came from, that kind of thing, and just let folks get to know you a little bit.
Well, I want to start out really quick before we go any further. Not only were we both residents at Havenwood, but her and I have been friends for years before Havenwood.
Okay.
And so we've seen each other go through different levels of struggle, and we've been incarcerated together.
Okay.
We have, watched us as individuals grow, lose, struggle, break down, cry, everything you
Come
can
back.
imagine. But here we are now doing this together. This is awesome, and we both graduated the program and made it so far, and here we are together.
That's
Never
cool.
thought in a million years it would happen.
I had no idea that you all went back that far.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
Now, are both of you from this area?
Yes. Well, I'm not originally from here. So I'll start off.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
I'm originally from San Diego. I moved here when I was 15 years old, pregnant with my 26-year-old son. I grew up in Imperial Beach, which is about 20 minutes from San Ysidro, Tijuana, the last city you can go to in California, at the end there. I grew up with my mother on welfare and my father in and out of prison, separated since I was 2 years old, and my grandma on Social Security. So they're who raised me and my sister. I just have one sister that's 2 years older than me, and my mom and my grandma both were drug addicts. And my mom was still a very good mother. She was a very nurturing mother. She taught me very good morals and values, and she was there for all my school stuff. And but she had a problem with men and in and out of bars and in and out of mental hospitals. And so my grandma was always the rock
Sure.
to be there as stability wise, And my memories only of my father is his gate money when he would get out of prison, and he'd have his gate money to spend on us, and then off he went, and we'd never see him again. And that's really my only memories of him. So when I was 14, I got with an older man that was 4 years older than me, and I was on drugs, and I didn't want my son to grow up like me. And he had a friend here in Arkansas that said that he would give us a place to stay till we got on our feet. And I was 15 and I was pregnant, and I didn't know what to do. And so I lived in San Bernardino. My mom lived in San Diego because I lived with the boyfriend and his father. And I called my mom on Halloween night of 97 and told her that I was moving to Arkansas. Did she want to come with? And I stopped and picked her up, and we rode in a stolen U-Haul all the way here to Arkansas.
Oh, my goodness. So you literally rode in a stolen U-Haul to get to Arkansas, and you were
Yes.
pregnant.
Yes, at
15. And your boyfriend, you said, was 8? No.
He was 18 at
18
the
at the
time.
time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
No, he's 19 because he's 4 years older than me.
so the struggles and the issues that you encountered growing up then really, truly were generational struggles. I mean,
Oh,
this
yes.
this was, okay.
Very much so. Mine's a little bit different than her story.
Well, Chelsea, go into a little bit of your background then. How
Sure.
did,
So I was raised here locally in a family that has been here for a long time. So a lot of, if you ask a lot of my peers, their parents are liable to know my family somehow or another. But Great parents. As parents, they were great, but individually, they just couldn't keep it together as a relationship. So there was some infidelity and some, and then of course, divorce that was a big shocker to us children, and it of course changed the dynamics of our home life greatly. And my father left the home with his other woman and continued a life with her, children, household, and they got my daddy. So I didn't realize that was something that would create resentment. I had no idea. I was 10 at the time, just experiencing those pre-teen, whatever, emotions. And so my mother was there. She was our rock. She was worked constantly, took care of myself and my two brothers. And with that being said, she was rarely home. So we had a very strong, stable home life with everything we needed, but a detachment as far as emotions goes. And we saw my dad holidays, those type things, and some financial stuff, but contributions. So here comes teenage years, and I'm just completely confused and struggling with daddy issues, if you want to call it that. But sure. I just kind of felt neglected. My mother got a boyfriend who was an alcoholic, and he didn't like my 13-year-old talk back, And so I pushed back. Of course, I was ornery. I didn't want him to be in my home. I wanted my daddy back. And he became a physically abusive, not sexually, but physically abusive alcoholic to me. And in that happening, my mother decided it was best for me to leave at 13. So I just started 7th grade and felt just utterly neglected and abandoned. My father left, my mother left, and they had their own lives going on. And so I was sent to my grandmother's, not far down the road, but I stayed there the whole time until I was a graduate. So 8-9 years solid. And my parents lived right down the road and never, my dad would come visit with my mom, rarely ever. But anyways, with that being said, my grandmother she had raised 11 children. She had she had lived her life. She didn't want to raise another child. My high school was right down the road, so I was left to my own defenses, and she was busy all the time. So I found drugs. I found a group of kids in my high school that showed me attention. I was struggling with a little bit of overweight, and so anyways, they showed me attention in places that I had never received. They introduced me to meth, and at 13, I started using meth intravenously, my very first drug I ever used, and it was a lifelong battle after that, and I didn't have anyone to check up on me or hold me accountable because my mom was doing her own thing, my dad was in his life. I don't hold resentment towards them now because we all go through things, but that is where my journey with drugs started and continued until it was just in and out of jail, couldn't ever find the answer. All I knew is that I wanted the next hit, and I would do whatever I could to get it, shot, should I say. Sure. But I eventually got indicted by the feds, and I got an 10-year and 10-month sentence for drug trafficking. I served 85% of that time, and I got out. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, feel free. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
This is just my story in a nutshell. I got out, and I, after almost 10 years of serving time for, I've done everything in this time to better myself, my inside, my outside. It wasn't 6 months later I'd relapsed, and I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find, all of my family, friends were successful, had moved on in 10 years. I had lost family. I had, all my close friends from school had wives or husbands or houses or careers.
life had moved on and yours had kind of
I had
stopped.
no idea what I was going to do, so I went back to the easiest thing I knew, and that was drugs. I had a large community of people that were more than willing, whether it be the devil or whatever you want to call it, it was there, and it was ready, and it was open to provide me with whatever option I needed to make some quick money and get back on drugs.
Lisa, did you find a similar pathway? I mean, you mentioned incarceration. You're now in Arkansas with your boyfriend.
So I ended up not getting back into the drug scene until my 20s.
Okay.
Here in Arkansas. I worked like 3 jobs and left Sam when I was 17, and then got with my husband Mitchell, and I wasn't using in that interim, and then he went to prison, and then I had Alana, my second child, and then I got involved with drugs, with cocaine.
Okay.
And I got a delivery charge and went to prison when I was 23 years old, pregnant with my daughter Julia. I had my daughter in prison. She was a year and a half old when I got home.
Oh, wow.
I did 19 months. And then when I was in there, I got my GED. And I did 980 hours of cosmetology school.
Okay.
So when I got out, I got rolled back in school, went back for custody of my children, got pregnant with Jeremiah while I was in cosmetology school, and got custody back of Alana, and joint, more or less, standard visitation of Sammy and Julia, which was the daughter I had in prison, which that wasn't the circumstances when I gave him the custody. He was supposed to give him back to me, and he wouldn't, And so then after that, it was always a struggle, trying to be a single mother of 3 children, and another one on the way.
So was that life, like prior to finding Havenwood, was that kind of what life was like for you at the time?
Me, it was not, because I had no children yet. She was in living with the struggle of drugs, as well as poverty, as well as children. But I had the drug world and everything, every negative, ugly, miserable, desperate thing connected to that. And I was living in my own hell, but I didn't know how to get out of it. She had children involved, so I can't even imagine.
But did you all know each other yet at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Through jail, in and out of jail, and then keeping in touch. But we
and mutual friend.
Yeah, mutual friends. We would see each other out, but we weren't living right. We both knew that. But we were. We always made it clear, especially in jail, that we had each other's backs. That we were. We had.
We would always be there for each other.
Always there for each other. And we had big plans, when we get out, we would do this great thing, and we were always close to the Lord, and always went to all the church studies, and they came to visit us, and, I know that she has a beautiful heart, and she's taught me so many things just about God and grace and all these different things, but, she's helped me learn a lot about myself as an individual, and that was in jail most of the time, because that's where we spend a lot of our time together. But anyhow, it's just amazing to get to do, bring that for full circle, and that God has allowed us to be back here together again to be able to talk about this. Definitely. So
my story is a little bit harder, because I have all my children have different fathers, and I was in a relationship with somebody. A very unhealthy relationship for 11 years, and pretty much every relationship I was in was unhealthy from the start, from when I was 14 years old all the way. Codependency, never seeing red flags, always just wanting to be, always looking for love in all the wrong places.
100%.
Do you attribute it to any particular trauma in your life, or is it just maybe?
So for me,
Dad.
For me, I never had a dad, and the only man that I loved was my stepdad, and we were raided by the FBI when I was 6 years old, and he was taken from my life, and he never came back until I was 13. I seen him again, and then I seen him again when I was in my 30s. And the other man that I loved was my uncle, and he was killed by the Mexican Mafia when I was 10 years old. Wow. And so those were the 2 most traumatic things that happened in my life in the beginning, and what started my life with what I felt about a man.
Sure.
You know?
And I feel like, even though my dad, he tried to be present as much as he could, I was always looking at, when he was president, he was the best dad to us. And so I was all, to this day, I will always compare other men to him because I'm always looking for that. And I omitted the crappy sides of him. I omitted those negatives.
You saw the best in him.
I always will. He's never turned his back on me, even though he, went through whatever he went through when I was younger. That is all just under the whatever. It's gone. But.
So you're in this, I'll just call it a season of crisis. I mean, I don't know how to summarize it any other way. What kind of led you up to Havenwood, or maybe how did you hear of Havenwood? Was that even on your radar, or what?
Me, no. I didn't know any of the resources available in this whole area. I had looked into a couple of the rehabs or the halfway houses leaving prison, but after I got out, I did do the halfway house for the feds, and it was in Little Rock. There's only one in the state of Arkansas for federal. I got done with that, got out, like I said, relapsed, and so caught new state charges, and was just literally running back and forth. I had lost my housing because my parents didn't trust me anymore. I had lost my car. It had been stolen. I was in a very, very abusive relationship. And I just let it go because I wanted to say hi, and that was kind of like my easy access. But let me get back to what I was saying here. So I was literally just going from house to just situation, the opportunist, could you say, just trying to say hi and trying to stay afloat and pay my little bills. And I found I was pregnant. That was my turning point. I can't even say now to this day, had I not found out I was pregnant, that I would not be still doing those things or given a second chance or be in jail or be dead. So I found out I was pregnant with Credence in February of 2021 and then gave birth in August 2021.
And you have a very unique story about your birth. Share.
Yes, so I was 2 weeks until my due date, and I had been waiting on the waiting list for Havenwood. And back to how I heard about it was through Hub of Hope. And it was just word of mouth, girls that had been helped. And so Hub of Hope came to the jail occasionally, and they shared, some of their resources. So I went to Hub of Hope, and they recommended Havenwood, but they did say, hey, it's a long waiting list. You have to go through interviews, yada, yada, whoop-de-whoop. I did all that, but it was about a 3-month waiting list. And I had some time to kill, and some baby to grow in there. So it was 2 weeks until my due date, and I had passed all the interviews, and all they needed was a drug test from me. So I came in that morning, August 31st, did my drug test, signed my lease, was ready to go, and I left there, and by that afternoon I was in the hospital giving birth.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. So the day I actually signed my papers for Havenwood, my baby decided he wanted to come home with me too, right there. And so we did. In our first year and a half, that was his home. We still pull up there, and he says home. All of his core memories, my core memories with him, were there, and yeah, it's amazing. Then she came not long after that, and it was just like, God works in the best ways.
Well, I started to say he brought the duo together to kind of heal together, it sounds like.
Man, and did we need it? Yeah. Did we
How did you find Havenwood on your journey?
I knew of Havenwood from 2014. When I got out of prison, I went to Restoration Village with my children, and I lived there a year. And we went to Christmas things with Havenwood. And so that's how I knew of Havenwood. So in July of 22, February of 22, a tree fell on our house out in Avoca. I had a 3-bedroom house out there, and they couldn't get it fixed. And so we had no alternative but to stay in a hotel. And my husband decided to quit his job, and I was in MIT at Sonic, barely making $15 an hour. and taking care of Elijah, and he was supposed to take him to daycare and go to work, and he decided to quit his job and not take him to daycare, and me come home to him drunk. And that was my final straw. I reached out to Havenwood, and mine wasn't the same circumstance. I was in there within 3 weeks. I had the couple of interviews with the couple different people, and told them, my situation and my circumstance, and I was blessed. And then I moved in. I reached out to them in July, and I moved in on August 8th, I think it was, 3 weeks later.
Wow.
And then I stayed there until April of this year.
So that's how you found Havenwood. Now, tell me a little bit of life. And I'm a little bit fortunate because you were at Havenwood when I joined the team, because I joined in August of last year, and you were about 1 year, a little better into your time there at Havenwood. And for those that may not know, and Havenwood's model, a family has basically up to 2 years where they can live at Havenwood. And the goal, again, is just to provide safety, stability, a community of support, and then opportunities to pursue educational or vocational goals. And at the end of that 2 years, we have a graduation ceremony, and they go on out and become part of our third-year alumni network. And so when I joined Havenwood, you were about a year, you were gone. I remember, and you'd not left too long before I got there.
About a year.
Graduated January 31st. February 1st was my last day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit of what life at Havenwood is like. And the reason I ask that question is we might have ladies be watching this video wondering what to expect. What's life like at Havenwood? So kind of tell me about your experience at Havenwood.
Well, I think that I know that her and I joined at different versions of Havenwood.
Sure.
So I started before her, and the dynamics of the program were a little bit different than when she joined. So we had a different case manager, which we were assigned to see weekly, and we would just check in with her, and she had a folder, and she had like a plan for us, and we would try to check that off and do everything we could through there. So the case manager, we had, if anyone needs special meds, there was also someone who distributed meds. It was just a little different, but they were never very invasive. We had room checks every Friday, and they came in and just checked to make sure for cleanliness. But other than that, we had our own, our own homes.
Yep.
We had the privacy of our homes and our children. We had our kitchens. We had, we shared the laundry days. Everything worked well. We had counseling every week. But I can say that when I first started, I had doubts, as well as some of the other administration, as far as how far I would go in the program, because when I found out I was pregnant, I had already been using, I was already almost 5 months pregnant and had been using the whole time, daily, intravenously, and no idea I was pregnant. And you couldn't tell by looking at me at all. I was almost 100 pounds. And yeah. And so I was really afraid that either I would miscarry. I mean, there were so many different worries.
Sure.
And so there was definitely that concern, but they never, Havenwood as a whole, never made me feel less than. And they always, helped me with whatever it was I needed, whether it be food stamps or getting supplies or getting, whatever it may be, budgeting or mental health or finding a job or just whatever, transportation if I needed it. It was everything I needed at that time, and, plus some. They were very supportive.
Lisa, what was your experience?
So for me, all the stuff that she said, it was the same for me when I started out. We had counseling and case management once a week, all of that. Mine was, I was just starting to become a general manager and leaving my husband and having a 2-year-old son, to take care of, and going back for custody of my other 13 and 9-year-old at that time, And so Havenwood was my umbrella. It was my umbrella because I was a graduating drug court, and I still wanted that accountability in the structure of having I have such a codependency problem that I don't need someone, that I have rules and regulations to where my home is. And that I got to have structure and routine in Elijah's life on a daily basis. And I got to come and go as I pleased, but I still had the lifeline of Havenwood to be my accountability partner. I still had random drug tests. I still had making sure my apartment stays clean. I still had being home, knowing where I'm at if I'm going to be gone for a weekend.
Chores.
If I'm going to have my children over or other friends come and visit, that you know who's going to be present. And so all those things is important when you come from a lifestyle of mine in the past, and learning who I need to associate myself with and who I need to stay back from, who I need to set boundaries with and who I need to not, who I need to be assertive with and who I need to not, and be a total BITCH, you know, for real.
I feel okay about it because
I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I've already learned that from leaving there, and I have to be careful of the red flags and of men and of people taking advantage of me, and that my home is my home for me and my children, not for anybody else. And that's what Havenwood was able to teach me and give me and give Elijah, because Elijah is just an awesome 4-year-old little boy. You would not think that he's went through any of the things that he's been through. Oh, you know, me raising him the last couple of years by himself. You wouldn't know that. He is a little sissy la-la, but it's okay. He's a mama's
Nonsense.
boy.
Those of us at Havenwood love Elijah. No. I'm not sure how to ask this question. In your time at Havenwood, was the adjustment there hard? I mean, what were the challenges that you might have faced there? I guess that's what I'm trying to get to.
You know, honestly, I was in such a terrible spot that it was like heaven when I got there. I got to bring my baby home to a new place. I honestly was living in a house that was so dilapidated. There was like mice running through the house. There were unknown creatures like little bugs, and the house has been torn down since. But it was, a house that was heavily frequented with people that were coming in and out, smoking meth, using drugs. I mean, to be 100% transparent, was not healthy at all to bring a child to. And so the fact that I got out of that and was able to bring my baby home straight somewhere else, never had to bring him there and expose him to that, it was like, thank you, Jesus. It worked out perfect.
I will say me and Chelsea are a little bit older, and we have been to prison and have lived hard, not the easiest lives. And because of being incarcerated, you appreciate places like Havenwood because it's still a structured environment, and that's where I see a lot of moms fail that come to Havenwood because they can't
buy into that structure?
Yes, into the accountability and structure. And that's what a mother needs when they're in that situation.
100%.
Because you need that extra to help you, that you're falling and you guys are the ones holding us. You're reaching out and we're going like this and you're holding on to us. If we didn't have Havenwood at that time in our life, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Oh, same.
I built my credit, all those things while I was at Havenwood, everything, and I got to take everything, all my furniture with me when I left, and everything that I had in storage from my place that it got ruined because of the rain, let go of, and I've been at a general manager at Sonic for 2.5 years now.
Yeah, my job, I've been there for almost 3 too, so.
And what do you do, Chelsea?
I'm an account lead for Outdoor Cat.
Okay. And so in your transition, you've shared some really good stuff. I don't want to chase too many rabbits. Excuse me. In your transition, what are some of the things that you took away from Havenwood that you felt like, and at least it's fairly more recent for you, so this may not be a fair question yet. You may still be discovering that answer. But what are some of the things that you've taken away from Havenwood that you can be grateful for or thankful for that you might be able to share with a lady that might be looking?
Physically or like through the program?
Either way, program, whatever, just something.
I think that I was at a spot that I was not self-sufficient. I was not dependable, reliable. I was not. I didn't know how to like do a lot of things on my own besides unless it came to like hustling. But seriously, I didn't know how to take care of a child, and so it taught me structure and taught me that I didn't need anybody else. That I could do it, and I was strong enough, and I could be a good mama, and I love myself, and I didn't feel any of those things before I came to Havenwood. I was so ashamed of my past, and so I got the opportunity to.
Might need some tissues.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got the
sure.
opportunity
So sorry.
to be the best mom to my baby, and not only that, but to there were some that maybe our personalities weren't made for each other, and that's okay. That only happened once or twice, but the majority of the people that I went through the residency with became family to me, and I genuinely love all those babies and those families and the team, and my heart will always be attached to Havenwood, no matter what. If you guys need me for anything, I am down.
And the same goes for me. I did go through different caseworkers and counselors and
You
directors.
saw a lot of transition during time.
Yes.
For those that may not know, Havenwood had a season where it was really a tumultuous time. I'm going to say from the time that COVID hit in 2020 through 21, 22, even into 2023, is a lot of transition, a lot of leadership changes, a lot of challenges just from the ramifications of COVID and so forth. So you were there during a very difficult time.
But I have to say that no matter how you look at it, the board still kept it going.
True.
You know what I mean? And then you and Tara coming in and just... Kat did a lot of work too before y'all. I will say Kat did do a lot. But you two coming in and making it more structured with what the mothers need to start off in the case management part of it, making it like more easier and understanding of
Sure.
what is expected of you, I think is beneficial for mothers coming in. What I would like to say for mothers coming in is don't allow like other mothers or little things affect you, because you have your own apartments and you have, your own lifestyles, and just grow to learn to love each other and to grab whatever resources that you can while you're there. Learn that it's your umbrella and it's whatever you want to take and make it. It's your life, it's your room, it's your apartment, and it can be your heaven and it can be your hell.
That's true.
It doesn't matter, like, and even when you feel alone, that's the time that you're doing the right thing, because boredom is sometimes the best feeling, because you're not doing wrong.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah, and the sense of camaraderie and we have our groups, but there were a lot of opportunities for us to grow together and to become more of a family and be I knew that I could call on her anytime, go up to her door and knock on it for some sugar, or we were a little community, and mostly everyone was there to help one another, and so that helped a lot.
I know life is never easy, and there's always challenges to work through. What's life now? So kind of describe that transition out of Havenwood. What could we do to help? What was some of the good things that maybe happened, or what were some of the challenges as you transitioned out of Havenwood into an independent, self-sufficient life, so to speak?
Well, I have recently discovered that adulting sucks. Okay? Parenting is fine.
Parenting's fine. Adulting is
sometimes, but adulting, I could take that. I really but no, I think that there were so many positive things that I took from Havenwood as far as just life skills, organization, planning. We had small spaces, so I've learned, my house is not giant, but I've learned how to organize with small spaces because I had a lot of experience in that little apartment.
Yeah, they are tiny.
And I did, man. I organized that thing, but it's cool. Learn how to budget, and there were so many just different things that were beneficial. We went through parenting and just different projects with our kids, and always just being engaged. In the holidays are amazing. I love that. And the treatment to our kids. My baby never one time was scared there or felt that wasn't his home.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Lisa, how about you? How about your transition out? Yeah.
I've only been gone for about 6 months. So I don't have maybe in another year I could be able to give more. But like I said earlier, just knowing remembering my codependency.
Yeah.
That I need to remember my little speech I gave my last little video that I don't need a man to feel loved. I don't need a man to feel safe. I don't need a man to feel wanted. I don't need a man to feel secure.
And I have all the power tools if you need any.
Just all of those things that to not allow myself to be taken advantage of. That is my struggle.
Okay.
By a male. Yeah. And learning that just how to date in a healthy way.
Sure.
Because I didn't do that when I was at Havenwood. So that's my recommended thing to mothers is pay attention to your kid and yourself while you're there and love yourself. Don't focus on any man. Yeah. Stay doing for you and what you need to do for you and your child or children, however many you have, and just learn to love yourself, that you need to accept you for who you are. And then later on, when you become that butterfly, that knight in shining armor will come one day.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, you're okay.
Yes.
I will say one thing about the transition. Mine was different because the Havenwood itself was going through some transitions with leadership or with staff, and so when I graduated, I was promised that third year. I've talked to you about this, and so I didn't get that until you guys came along, and it was almost the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so which was great, but having that either alumni or just having that us being invited to the Thanksgiving dinner, that's awesome to us. We want to still remain part of this. We don't want, we graduated, but
going to the trunk or treat tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, we want to be. We still want to be and grow with this team. It's very important.
And give back to and be there for mothers and
sure.
that have these questions that may have any type of worries or what they know to expect what the program is.
Absolutely.
What Lisa and Chelsea are referring to is what we're calling our third year alumni network. And it's a real conscious effort to try to include our alumni back to the families so they can be encouragers to the families that are currently there. And so we can keep tabs and maybe create some ideas on how can we continue to work together to achieve self-sufficiency for families. Maybe we can empower a single mom to buy her first home, or maybe, whatever that might look like for our alumni. And I'm finding alumni all over. We have alumni as elementary art teachers in Fayetteville, and we have alumni in Gentry, and so I keep running into these wonderful alumni. So we have a lot of work to do to rebuild this alumni network and kind of continue this membership, if you will, into a very select group of women that have. Havenwood's been around for over 30 years, and so
I'm still trying to get that habitat home.
But us as a whole, we've all succeeded in different ways, and so we have resources, we have talent or things going on in our lives that we can carry on to the girls that are just starting
Absolutely.
out, individually and as
And
a whole.
I graduated from drug court, and I was on the board of the drug court alumni for over a year. I ended up resigning because I had a lot with work and Elijah and leaving Havenwood and all that stuff. But what was I going to say to that? Oh, Pearl. Pearl is positive energy affecting and recovering lives. And so I have a lot of resources in general anyways when it comes to any type of networking for mothers in need or substance abuse or anything like that.
See, that's what we need. That's what we need is more. And I'm sure the ladies are even working at Havenwood right now are even working on ideas on how to flesh out this alumni network and keep that growth going. Because I think there's really a lot of untapped energy and, like you said, resources there. There's a lot of knowledge there that we don't know.
And a lot of us, I think, would be, to your disposal. We will be free work on events. You don't have to hire all these people. We'll just happily.
Well, that is the bulk of our conversation today. So I don't want to let you go without, and I'm going to get emotional because you two inspire. What I love about Havenwood, especially the ladies that seem to flourish, is they never allow their past traumas or their past crises define who they are. There's almost this defiant, no, you don't get to pigeonhole me there. And it's a very tangible inspiration. I mean, you can sense it in the lady. And so that has been a real big learning point for me, just coming and being around it. I love it. It's really inspiring. The other aspect of it is the courage that I see in the transparency, your vulnerability, and telling your stories so others can know and see that there's hope, see that there's another avenue out of whatever situation they're in. That, too, has been a real privilege and a real honor. So thank you for coming in and sharing your stories and just kind of sharing a bit of your life. We've got some extra time, so I'm going to just ask a couple of random questions. If you were talking to a donor, or say you were talking to a foundation, why should they invest in Havenwood?
I would say because I am a perfect example. I was in the gutters. I was doing the worst of the worst. And when I joined Havenwood, those resources that the donors invest in that company were given back to me to help create a home for me and my child. And I got to complete the program. And those resources is what helped. Gave us food, gave us shelter, gave us stability, and Havenwood is changing lives, it really is, and it changed mine.
So because of our past, you have to have some lease record of where you've been, to be able to get an apartment. Mm-hmm. You have to have credit. You have to have time, in work area, and Havenwood was able to give me that. I did 2 years as a general manager. I built my credit to 640. I, did my lease while I was there to be able to get into my own apartment. And it's my first apartment in 20 years.
Oh, that's congratulations.
Yeah,
that's
my
awesome.
name. Yes. So, I wouldn't have been able to get those things if I hadn't given myself that 2 years at Havenwood. And that's why I'm, like, when I first signed the year lease, I'm like, I'm barely going to make it the year. And I didn't think I'd go the whole 2. I was like, I'm not quite sure if I want to go at 2 yet. But I think 2 years is perfect. But the ability to pay off my fines while I was there, I had a ticket for a dog that was $1,000 for $75 ticket for a dog that I had to pick up from the pound that was 4 years old that I had to pay off, while living there. And then driving without a license ticket that was 4 years old too, that was $250 turned into $1,000 because I didn't pay on it, So just those little things, those little goals and the budgeting. If we didn't have the donations and Havenwood wasn't open, I wouldn't be a success today to be able to be sitting here.
If nothing else, it sounds like Havenwood could at least give you time and safety.
Yes.
At least you've got that.
They gave me the net to have that, to have the net that I'm in right now.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking to a lady that's desperate, looking for help, doesn't know where to turn, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would first start with some questions like, does she have children? What situation is she coming out of? How old are her children? And then after assessing those questions, I would decide what the best method would be, because we have parameters that we have to fit within. And so I would offer our assistance if she fit within those parameters. But I do know several other resources that I can guide her in that direction, or even make the phone calls I've had to for Spanish-speaking women that were in a similar situation. So just assessing the situation. There's so many different resources out there.
Mm.
And us being my favorite, but sometimes we can't help.
Yeah.
Same goes for me. That would be the same answer for me. Because not Havenwood isn't for every mother.
No, it's not. You're right.
It isn't. And that is why there's the turnover that they have, you know, because some people need more structured. Some people need more not as structured. Some people need like where they don't have where they have more accountability within the people. Like
Right.
they need the more, you know, we just have the Tuesday nights groups and whatnot, you know, and have the, you know, counseling and case management and work. And so everybody's different in life of what they may need. But I would say the same thing is assess the situation and the age and the circumstance and the children and all of those things. But I feel anybody in the ability to be at Havenwood, it's the best program. And I wouldn't say just because I graduated from it, went to it, it was the best one for me. I've been to Oasis and I've been to Restoration Village and I've been to Havenwood, you know, and Havenwood at that time in my life was what I needed to be successful and be where me and Elijah are at today with the rest of my children, you know.
We collaborate a lot with those organizations. Do you see it fitting well, working overall in Northwest Arkansas?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Because that's the whole thing is if we all work together, you know, and every place needs different because Oasis is different because it's a home, right?
Yeah.
And so the way it's structured is different because we have different apartments at Havenwood. Some moms need that. Some moms need that.
Sure. Well, thank you both. I'm going to cut us off just a little bit early. You all have been very gracious with your time and your answers, and so thank you all for your advocacy and your support and your encouragement. We sure appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.